Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Fishtank Whypz, or maybe this is Fishtank Bike Mechanics. I'm not sure. This feels like a Fishtank Whypz. What we're doing here is we've got my bicycle. This is my bike. That's my cat, actually. But this thing that he's checking out is my bike. I've taken the rear wheel off, which is now here is the rear wheel for the bicycle, as you can tell by the sprocket set right there. And we've also got this. And that's a replacement wheel with a hub motor in it. This is a controller. That's some doodads and shit. And we're gonna turn this bike into an e-bike. I don't have the battery yet, so I mean for you guys it won't matter because I'm gonna edit the video and it'll be one video. But this is basically the first part. What you want to do is you want to take your rear wheel off. If you don't know how to do that, you're gonna have one of these things. It's going to be the same on the front as well, so it's one of these things right here. This beat, see, like that. And what that is that's a quick release lever. You pull up on it and you wind it out, and then you've got this bar, right, like this, going through the wheel from here to here, and that holds the wheel in on the back as well. So it goes from here to here and holds the wheel in the bike. So you want to take that out and carefully put it aside somewhere. And then you want to take off the wheel and you want to deflate the tires so that you can get the inner tube and the tire off. So what you got to do is you got to find your valve. Mine's right here. It'll probably have a little cap on it. Now the cap is sometimes it's black like this one. Sometimes they're orange. You can get ones that are like I had Magic 8-ball ones when I was a kid, and those were really cool. But I rock the black caps now. Maybe once I got this bike pimped and e-bikeified, I'll put some Magic 8-ball caps on there. But for now, we're just going to keep it classic, keep it old school, keep it plain. And what you want to do is you want to find some sort of like pen or pin or something pointy-ish like that. I'm going to use this pen right here, which is from the Association of Continuity Professionals. Their disaster recovery. It's basically a guild for disaster recovery, except it doesn't do anything that a guild would do that's useful. It's just like a thing you can hang up in your window, kind of like Lopsa. What you want to do is you want to find right here this little thing, and you want to put your pen in it until the tire starts to deflate. And you're just going to leave that in there until the tire is fully deflated, or at least mostly deflated. And it shouldn't take too long. It's a lot easier if you're doing this on the ground, but I gotta get the shot. I gotta get the camera shot going. So we're gonna try it. There we go. It's a lot easier if you don't pop the tip of the pen out. And I can feel this really starting to shrink here, and I think you can probably see on the video that it's the tire is starting to fold under its own weight here. So just like that, and like you see here, we got this tire straight coming down hard on this tire here. And I'm gonna set it down now and press it like this. Get some more of that delicious tire air out. You can really smell it and taste it because it's very aromatic. The air from inside the tire tastes really rubbery. And then you need to get yourself a pair of bike tire removal tools. Alright, so mine comes in the form of a Bell Deluxe Tire Repair Kit. And you open it up. This is the piece that you need. You don't need the rest of this right now, at least not yet, maybe later. I haven't figured that part out yet. But you got these things right here, and this separates off into 3. So you got 3 of them. Some people like to use all 3 of them. I found that I only actually need 1. So what you want to do is you want to come in here and like peel your tire back a little bit, and then get in there with the tool. And the first little bit is always the hardest. It helps if you use 2 thumbs to separate the wall of the tire from the inside of this thingy. And what you're going to do is you're just going to get in there and actually, you know what, you have to do the same thing on the other side with your thumbs again. You got to separate the inner wall of the tire from the outer wall of the tire from the inner wall of the rim because they lock together in order to create a firm seal, which is very cool while you're riding, but not super useful when you're trying to take the tire off. So what you do when you've got those 2 sides popped off is you just lift this up using this tool, and this is the part where some people like to use multiple of them, but I've never found that necessary. I don't know, maybe I spoke too soon. Maybe today is the first time that I will find that necessary. Sometimes it's easier if you go further away from the stem being the piece where we let the air out, which is all the way on the other side, so we're actually pretty far away from it right now. And there we go. On the exact opposite side of it is where it's easiest to remove this tire inner tube combo. I'm going to grab up this second tool. It's easier if you deflate it more, but I got lazy and I didn't deflate it anymore, so... don't be like me, kids. Don't be lazy or untalented. Be talented and motivated. Otherwise, Chinggis Khan will come and kill you. Maybe in your sleep. Okay, yeah, we gotta let some more air out of this. Grab that. Try and work this tool underneath both sides of the tire. And finagle it a little bit. Sometimes you gotta get your finagling on. Alrighty. Alright. Okay. Alright. And then you want to remove the stem from the wheel. Yours will be easier than mine because I modified my wheel so it would fit a larger stem, so it barely fits, but that doesn't matter anymore because that rim is going to go in the closet where it belongs. Then what you want to do is you want to take this is the inner tube part. See, we took off the tire and the inner tube. They're separate pieces. You want to actually keep them together because that makes it easiest for what we're about to do. Alright, what you're going to do is you're going to find where your hole is and where your stem is. And you're actually going to line those two up as your very first thing. And you're going to try and get the stem to go into the hole. It's a pretty straightforward concept, but sometimes it takes a little bit of work. There you go, just like that. You can't see that. There we go. It goes through like that. Similar to how any round peg goes through any round hole. If you failed kindergarten, don't ride a bicycle, please. Go ahead and pop this into here on all sides, and you just want to get the wall of the tire into the wall of the rim. And there you go, just like that. I've now got it properly situated. Oh, almost properly situated. There's a little bit on this side that's out, but you work from the edge and you push with your thumbs, and it's pretty easy. Actually, it's much easier to get it in than it is to get it off. I've found just now. Once you've got your pump, here I've got just the end of it that I'm showing you. You're going to put it on like this. So you just slap that on there. You want to make sure that you're pushing from the other side so that you get a firm fit, and then you push that flap down. And so I'm just going to keep going until I feel that magic point. And that definitely needs more air, but I'm going to release this and then resituate it, which is very helpful to do sometimes, because what happens is, say this is the hole, right? And this is your valve, and it's poking out the hole like that far. And you try and put your thing on it, and it can't cover it very well. But it covers it a little bit. It covers it enough to get some air in there. And then as you inflate it, this gets shot up through here. And now your seal isn't as good because you've gone and moved it. So what you need to do is you need to take your thing off and put it back on, and you reform that seal. It's very good, and it helps you get better tire pressure. And now we've put a tire on a powered wheel. All right. Oh boy. So I know you might be thinking, well, what do we do with this wheel now? We're just going to throw it away? No. We got to take some shit off of it, because if you look over here, we got no brakes, we got no gears, we got a motor in here, but we need this to be able to brake, and we need this to be able to... Okay, I had to take a short break because I had no space left on my phone. Time to remove this and also this, and you're going to get to figure out how to do this with me. So I'm going to start with this piece, and that looks like Star of David bolts to me. So what I'm going to do, remove these just by spinning them the way that you would a normal screw. I think, at least. Maybe not. Maybe these are reverse screws. Ah, fuck. my bolt's slipping, and I really, really do not want to strip these screws. I already started to do that for this one, so let's, here's to not stripping my bolts, or stripping my screws. Yeah, that's fucked. We'll figure that out. And then this one, you want to hold it steady, and there you go. Just let her out like that. Okay. And keep pulling it out, and put it somewhere safe. For me, that's right in there. And you want to do that for the other 5 screws as well. Okay, we got new information. This thing right here, this is a cassette. This is not a freewheel, and you can tell because when you spin this piece, these little notches here on the inside, right by that bolt, spin with it. They don't stay still. They spin with the gears, and so that means that this is a cassette. But here's the kicker: if we look at this thing, this right here. This thing does not take a cassette. This takes a freewheel. You can tell because it's threaded right here, and this is a long, skinny, smooth pole. If this were like a big fat pole with a bunch of notches all over it, it would take a cassette, like that. But this takes a freewheel. So I don't have a freewheel, which means that I need to go get one. I need to go get an 8-speed freewheel, and I need to put it on here. And I also need it to fit. So I'm not going to be able to get that part tonight. So we're just going to move on to the next step and circle back to the actual sprockets tomorrow. What you want to do here is you want to cut this little piece. So find your kitchen shears like so, and just get in here and cut only the zip tie, and don't cut the wires that the zip tie is holding. There we go, just like that. Take this and put it somewhere that your cat will not eat it, because it'll hurt him if he tries to eat that. And then what you do is you take that out and you take this piece off, just like that. You go ahead and you don't have to get it all the way off, but you know it's good to get it as far off as you can. Then you're gonna go ahead and take your thing here, your disc, and which way is this wheel gonna spin? And so the wheel is spinning this direction, like that, oriented with the camera. And so we're going to get this thing, we're going to make sure that the arrows on it are spinning in that same direction that the wheel was spinning. Sometimes you got to do a little bit of maneuvering to get your bearings, but it's worth it because you'll have a zip zoom machine that'll be electric powered, which will be very cool. Thank you, Kanye. And you know what? I actually don't have to go get extra screws because this came with some screws. So all I need to do is grab up my screwdriver right here, my trusty screwdriver, and remove these bad mamma jammas. Alright, so this thing, this ring washer right here kind of came off, but I'm just going to actually keep it there. And what we're going to do is we're just going to line these up and put them back and bring up one of these screws, punch it through one hole, punch it through another hole, and just like get it in there. Just finger it in. Once you've got your 6 screws up on there, you're going to want to come in with your screwdriver. You want to get them snug, but not tight. And you want to skip and go every other one. But since there's 6 of these, you can't do that. So when you get to the 4th one, you just go to the next one. And then you go back to doing every other one. And we're not tightening them, we're just snugging them. There we go. And then you want to really tighten them. Get them nice and tight until they won't go anymore without forcing it. You really do not want to strip these because then getting them off will be a huge pain in the ass. I was doing a test run of installing the rear wheel, and so I've got this piece removed now, and with it removed, if you can see that, the brake disc is just touching this right brake pad. With this thing installed, the brake disc is just touching the far brake pad. So no matter what I do right now, given the thickness of this piece, I am brushing up against one of the brake pads. So what I need to do is I need to make this thing right here just a little bit thinner. Just Not by much, but by enough. Maybe half this thickness is like what I need. So I don't have any sandpaper, so that's going to be another thing I have to do tomorrow, along with getting a freewheel set for this that'll work. But it does fit in. I learned what these washers are for. It's to keep everything secure in here. So I'm going to tighten that down, and then you put this one on right here, like this. See, and this little tongue nubs up against this right here, and it helps with the torque so that you don't break your back mainstays. And then you just put this bolt on it as well. And yeah, you know how to secure a bolt. But I need this thing to be about half as thick is what I need, and I also need a back freewheel. All right, we've got the bike right side up now, and what we're gonna do is this thing came with this kit that I purchased on the internet. It came with some replacement hand grips. So this one here has a throttle in it, right? And this seats up right against that. There's this little plastic piece here so that these two can rub against each other smoothly, since this is like rubberized plastic and this is rubberized plastic. So by having hard plastic between them, we can get a smooth surface to rub up against, and that'll make it work a lot better. But first things first, and that's taking off this handle. So go ahead and do that. I've never taken off a handle before, but I assume you just got a pull on it. That's my guess here. We went ahead and we removed both of the hand grips. It took a lot of tugging, lots of tugging, but eventually we had sweet release. And what we're gonna do, we're gonna take this new hand grip. Just the only reason we're doing this side is so that it matches the other side that we're about to put on, and I don't actually think it's quite as long, which is fine because that'll give you more bar to attach trinkets to. But you just keep banging this on. After all the tugging, you finally get some banging in. You know what would really help with this is a rubber mallet. So I was right. Rubber mallet helped 100%. 100 emoji. And what is that in frame? All right, cool. If that's in frame, what we're going to do now is we're going to grab these two pieces, and we're just going to slide this one on and lock it in down all the way there. Make sure that the throttle's going in the right direction. And the way you know it's going in the right direction is, does it go the same way that a motorcycle throttle does? If it does, then it's the right direction. Then we're going to just slot this piece on here, and then we're going to grab up our rubber mallet. Just give it a little bit of love. Just a little bit. Make sure that you're not digging too hard. Just like that. And you want this to be flush up against it, like so. And so that you can still reach your brake, like that. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to, there's a bolt right here. See this? It's a little hex bolt. I'm going to tighten that down. And this thing comes with its own brake levers, and the instructions say to remove your factory brake levers and put on these special brake levers. And what these special brake levers have is they've got your normal wire leads, but they've also got these cables which go to little plug-ins. And these plug-ins kill power to the engine, to the motor, to the electricity. So that when you brake, you don't have any electricity going. But my brake levers are actually hydraulic. These are not wire fed. This is a hydraulic tube. So that's not going to work for me. I can't just replace these. So my engine kill switch is going to go like this. Basically, it's just going to be release, and that's how I'm going to kill power to the engine. I'm sure that that'll be completely effective, and I won't die. But one thing that we do need to install is a little controller screen thingy right here, and it's got these two little screw holes in the back, and those feed into this thing, or feed from this thing, or whatever. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to open this thing on up. Every bike thing that you ever buy to put on your handlebars comes with these fucking things. And I never put them on, but since I'm going to be having so many more vibrations on this thing than I have before, going at 30 miles an hour down potholed roads, I'm actually going to put these things on correctly. So the first thing you want to do is get your thingy, and you want to unscrew these screws so that you can put this over something. I'm going to put it like here about. You want this. This is going to remember how this is all going to work. This is going to attach to here, so you need this piece facing you. Basically, is what you want. But I'm going to attach this. You know, I might rearrange some of this stuff. I might move the honky horn on over to there, that side, and then attach this like here about. Thinking about like that one detective robot. I don't remember what his name was. Daniel Oliver. That guy. He was a spacer robot, right? Isn't that how that book went? It was a trilogy. All of Isaac Asimov's books like flow together into one big story, and there's a couple of different series that are like, you know, different time periods in the same universe that are like vastly spread apart, but they're all garbage. Is what I'm trying to get down to. It's the point I'm trying to arrive at, so I might as well just jump to it. Isaac Asimov is trash, and if you disagree, I don't know, man. You really gotta, I guess, take yourself less seriously. And then here's the most important part: is when you remove that right there, and just like that. Make sure that your bell isn't in the way of your LCD, so you can still hit your bell without scratching up this. This is our menu thingy. So this we need some way to interact with this, and that's by using this thing. Although it is like really freaking small, and I'm kind of out of space to put it anywhere. I don't think I can fit it through there. We're gonna have to try and put it right here. So just do your best, like you always do. And here we can hit these buttons, and there's a cable that goes to the control, the display. Came with this thing, which is a nice little pouch that it'll fit into, like this, like so. And then all these cables will get, you know, tucked up in here, and the cables from other systems can come in through here and just like chill out, which is really cool. And we're just gonna start hooking stuff up. So this is the display cable, and it plugs into something. Where's those instructions? All right. What do we got going on here? Okay, LCD control panel connection. Controller side, LCD side, so it does plug into the controller. If you don't want to use LCD, just plug the jumper connector into the following. Okay, so that's if I didn't want the LCD, but I do want the LCD, so I have to unplug this one. This is my jumper. This is its own piece that can separate off. That's kind of cool. And then this piece here plugs into here. Just like that. And now the LCD is connected. Very cool. Alright, so we've got the LCD connected. There's this piece that came with it, and this you put, you take off your shit down here, and you put this on the crankshaft, and it detects when you're pedaling. And this like plugs into here somewhere in this rat's nest. But here's the thing: is I don't really care about pedal assist because I just want the throttle. I have no intention of pedaling this bike once this is all rigged up, because it'll weigh way too much for me to want to pedal it. So it's gonna be a chill bike dedicated to going zip zip zoom. But you gotta wait for the battery. And I went to the bike shop and I got myself some pieces. We've got an 8-speed freewheel and some grease. And so what we do with this is first we got to open this piece up. So where did I put my kitchen shears? They're right here. So you just go in here with a kniffy and you just sort of cut it like this. Then you open this up and slide on out your brand new shiny freewheel. And then you just get your grease. Okay. Open it up. Same unscrewing motion that you're probably used to. Then you take this and you put some grease up here in the threads. This is special thread grease for this exact purpose. I don't actually know why, but everything I found online said that you're supposed to put some goop in there. So we've gone and gooped it up, and then you just go ahead and slide this on. You want to make sure that you're getting it on straight, not crooked, so you don't want to cross any of the threads. It can take a little bit, but eventually you'll get it. And right now, we only need this to be hand tight. We don't need this to be really like snug as a bug in a rug quite yet, but we got it. It's a freewheel. It wheels freely. We're going to take this off because now we have, you might remember this piece. We got this one, which is much thinner. Should work perfectly. Alright, I'll go ahead and remove this piece completely. Just like that. And put this piece on where it was. So just like so. And snug it on up there. Make sure that the holes line up. They do. And then you want to put this thing back on the same way. Just like that. These are now all on here properly. And we've got our freewheel installed on the other side. So let's go ahead and put this on the bike. You just want to kind of get it approximately lined up. Get your derailleur out of the way best you can. And let everything just sort of drop on in. It takes a fair amount of finagling. Okay, I got it. Now if you see, I did it. We can freewheel backwards, and we can spin forwards. It takes a lot of effort, partially because the wheel's so heavy, and partially it's still braking because that brake pad is rubbing up against the rotor. And the reason for that is that, well, it's partially because we put the spacer in, and then over here, here's how we got this to actually work. Let me try and get this in the shot, get it focused. There we go. So you see, this is what we've got going on here. There's two of these washers on the inside. There's supposed to be one on the inside, one on the outside. I moved them both to the inside, and it sits on a little lip, just identical to this lip. Just identical to this lip right here, but it's on this side. And that's where those two washers right there are sitting, and they're just giving us just barely, just ever so slightly, just enough space. Like, look at how perfect that is right there. Oh my goodness. All right, but now we need to adjust this rear brake, and we could take this wheel off again, but I'm really tired of taking this wheel off. I don't want to do that anymore. And you can see here exactly what the problem is that we're rubbing against the brake, which is not really what we want to be doing right now. We don't want to be, oh shit, not just as the rotor rubbing against the brake, but the actual hub is also rubbing against the brake. That's not great. Okay, again, the solution was to use the washers that the thing freaking came with, and why can't I focus on any of this? I don't want to focus on my toes, I want to focus on this. So, now as you can see, we've got just the slightest little gap right there, which is all we really need. And we're still rubbing on the rotor, and we don't want to be rubbing on the rotor, because if we're rubbing on the rotor, then we are always braking. We don't want to always be braking, we want to always be closing. We need to adjust this screw. But I can't do that, even with my larger Star of David bit, which is a T20. It says it right there on the side. Because this screw hole right here is too big. Alright, boys and girls, we are back. Who am I kidding? Alright, fellas, we're back. I got this. So this was the T20 size that was a little bit too small, so I got one that's got 20, 25, 27, 30, and 40. I'm not sure which size we're going to need, but to open these, this is a special unboxing. Cooking with Zaphod exclusive unboxing of this shit. Where's my kitchen shears? And we're just going to cut them on open. And they're still not open, so really cut them on open. Maybe if we come in from the top here. And just like that. And there we go. Alright, so now they are open. And let's see which size here. So, is it the 25? That feels a little bit loose. Let's give the 27 a go. Oh, that's going to be just perfect. So, much like Cooking with Zaphod, this show is more of a learning experience for me than it is an entertaining experience for you. I've completely disassembled this back piece. except for removing this from the tube. Now this tube here is where the hydraulic juice is stored, and if I were to press down on the rear brake lever right now, hydraulic juice would shoot out of this hole right here, and into my bookshelf maybe. But we get this is the actual brakes itself. This is a brake pad. This is a brake pad, and this is a little tiny little baby piece of metal that holds them together, or holds them apart actually. And what I'm doing is I'm just bending it out a little tiny bit in hopes that maybe that'll give me the clearance I need. I don't think it will, but it doesn't hurt to try. Darn it. So just like that, and then this slides on to here. Now there's this screw right here, and the reason that this screw exists, this hole shoots juice out into this hole, and then this hole fills up a reservoir that is this thing, and also goes up to this screw. So if you want to drain your fluid without having to disassemble this, you can just undo this screw. So it's there as a convenience factor for people who want to replace their brake fluid. I don't know why, but I guess that's a thing you might want to do. So this piece just kind of fits onto here, same way that it came off, that you didn't actually get to see because I wasn't videoing for that part. And then we're going to take this screw here. Oh yeah, I was able to get these off. It just took a lot of force is the only thing. So heads up on that if you're following along at home. It takes a whole bunch of force. Like, I think that there was Loctite on these things, because you really don't want your brakes to fall apart while you're riding. So they really make these things super sturdy, which kind of makes it nice while you're riding, but makes it not so nice while you're trying to take it apart. And I'm just reassembling this now in the hopes that maybe, if I'm a very lucky boy, I can get this to stop rubbing on the rotor. Probably not, though. Probably not that lucky. And we're still rubbing. Cool. Thank you, Kanye. Okay, so I've got a theory here. So you can see all three of these are separated. These three pieces are not touching each other. And this thing is able to rotate smoothly. No problems whatsoever. Right? Okay, you're on board so far. Now, what happens if we take, say, two of these? Let's say we take green and blue, and we hook them up together, and we put this thing on, and now we know for a fact these two are touching each other. Now, what happens if we try and spin this? Oh, we get that ticking. We get that really difficult to move. Okay. Now, for science reason, we're going to go ahead and separate these out again. So, separate these things out like that. Hey, back to smooth. All right. What if we connect yellow and green? What does yellow and green together do? Yep, ticking. All right. What does yellow and blue together do? Does that do anything? Yep, we're ticking. What if we hook all three of them together? So that's the last combo we haven't tried. Sorry, that's not on the camera. There we go. That it's not ticking, but it's real difficult to move. So that's all three states that I've been experiencing explained. Man, I was halfway through contacting the seller on Amazon. I decided I was going to contact the seller because I knew Amazon would make me send back everything, and I thought maybe the seller would be kind enough to just send me a replacement wheel, but there's nothing wrong with the wheel. What alerted me to this is I was just test spinning it when it was being clunky, and I noticed that these were sparking, which kind of clued me in, like, wait a second. And then I just kind of like finagled the wire a little bit, like I shook it around, and the problem went away. until I kept spinning it, and that twisted up the wire a bit because the wheel's not. Right now I'm moving the center peg. I'm not moving the wheel. And then they would touch again, and so this is a heads up for anyone else. If I partially disassembled this thing. I don't have a gear puller, so I couldn't disassemble it all the way. I don't mean a freewheel remover. I mean like a gear puller to remove this plate off. If anyone else is just some dude in his living room like me trying to figure this out, if these wires touch each other, you're going to get clunking, and you're going to get bad motion. I just got some papers and shit, but most importantly, the battery. Ooh, yeah. All right. This is the operating manual, and here we've got it saying to charge socket, power, install plate. Okay, level light, safe lock, discharge socket, USB port, charger, installation method. So install the base, you put the battery in the base, and then installation is complete, just like that. It's that simple. Is how we're going to be doing this. So get your box out of the way. Get your baggie. All right, we got some cables. I don't have like anything that I would need to solder these. So, well, I have a soldering iron, but I don't have any solder. It came with 2 screws, keys, and a little tag that says 108 on it. Focus, there we go. Or alternatively, it says 80L. Probably 108 though. I wonder if that's that can't have anything to do with that lock pattern. But anyways, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put this in here. You get this thing in the down position, so up and down, and then you come in here with your fingers and you pull it like that, and boom, you have released the battery plate. So we're going to move the battery itself up to the side here, and then we're going to bring this battery plate, and let's take a look. That's what the cables look like, so I'm guessing that these plug into these, looks like it. And then I'll have to find some way to attach these to some cable on the motor controller, which is a little bit frustrating that this didn't come with a plug or anything. I'm going to remove my water bottle, and then I'm going to remove this cage that the water bottle is held on with. And to do that, I need Allen wrenches, so grab your wrenches of the Allen variety, and I just turned on my rear light, which to turn it off, I just hold it. Your rear might be different. You probably didn't even hit your rear light because you're sitting at home watching this video. You're not here in my apartment. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here with this because I'm guessing this is the right size. And I was right. This is a 4mm bolt. 4mm hex head thingy. Alright, that's finger threaded, and these are smaller heads. I'm going to try this next smallest one. And hey, guess what? I picked the right one. So these are 3mm. I think this is millimeter measurements on this hex set. It's this. So if you're using exactly the same tool set, then grab the number 3 one for this part. And now, I guess I gotta figure out how to get this thing to connect into here. According to the manual, you need this, which is an XT60 female style. So I have to. I don't think that the e-bike kit came with that, and the hub motor kit didn't come with that, and the battery certainly did not come with that. So I need a way to attach these cable ends to a thing that I don't have, which you might be sitting there thinking, Zepha, that's physically impossible. It's literally impossible to attach the ends of cables to something that you don't have. Really, all I need is these. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to strip these wires, and I'm going to strip these wires, and I've got some extra wire in case I need it. And to strip those wires, we're going to use one of these. And I've never done this before, but it's probably super simple. So I'm just going to come up here, grab off that much, and wow, I was right. That was super duper simple. Really, really easy. I literally did not even adjust this thing. So just like that, go ahead and shear your wires. That's what I'm calling that. So it's a wire shearing process. And then you do the same thing for the black one because we need equal treatment. We got to have equality, boys. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come down here to this piece, and I guess I'm going to use these, like the sharp blade part right there in the middle. And I'm going to use them to just cut this off really as close as I can get to this heat tubing. So just like that there, just like that, and it's not really cutting. There we go. It just takes a little bit. It takes a little bit of effort. And then the same with the other side. There we go. So now we've removed this connector. We can get rid of it. Bring this in again. And I'm just going to use that sharp piece, come in here with it, and like try to cut through just the plastic rubbery part. Like that, maybe. And then we can just pull it off. Maybe. Almost got it. We just need to expose this wire is what we need to do. I got electrical tape, and that's the tool I'm going to use to fix this. So I've learned from the last couple of minutes that I can manipulate this bit a lot easier and with a lot less damage than I was manipulating the other piece. So I'm going to kind of spread this out a bit, like this, and then I'm going to take this, and I'm going to plug it in, and then I'm going to pull this down, and then with that just kind of chilling right there, I'm going to bring this electrical tape, and I'm going to start wrapping this thing. And this is how we're going to make a secure electrical connection that will power my e-bike. This is a good idea. This is maybe the best idea I've ever had. Okay, it worked. These are now cables. So what we're going to do with these cables, we're going to move these connectors that I opened and now cannot return off to the side. And we're going to install this piece. I want to put this right here, but I can't do that because these screws are in the way, so I have to remove these screws, which if they're the same as the other ones, which I'm pretty sure they are, is going to be 4mm hex. So just put that in there. If you're using the same exact bike as me, then you can probably follow along, unless they changed the screws in a later model, which they very well might have. I don't know. I'm not. I don't work for Giant. This is going to be sitting like right about here, and to adhere it, we're going to use zip ties. You might be thinking, Zaf, those are clear zip ties. Those are going to deteriorate from UV light, which is outside. Well, listen, partner. I live in Seattle. There's no fucking UV light outside. I checked. It's clouds, clouds, and clouds, and clouds. And if these do deteriorate, I'll just replace them with black ones, which is fine. And those ones won't deteriorate. And so what we're going to do is we're going to put this through here. We're going to thread this. We're going to pull it over to the other side. We'll remove all of your stray ends. That's the controller attached. Now we need to wire up everything. So the wire harness for the controller is right here. And I'm just going to connect these two wires like this. And then I'm going to grab up the block here. This is from the motor. And this one plugs into here. Beep beep. So the motor is now hooked up to this part, and we need this. We need this thing to get wired in. So that's going to be these three. And then to protect this whole thing, we grab up this plate that it came with, and this goes over here, over this piece, and it should fit nicely. Should fit perfectly. And then you put these screws that it came with in here. This piece is from the throttle. So the throttle is just going to plug into this one that's the same size and shape. Max, Max wants to play, but it's not time for that right now. And we also need this cable, which is coming from the, this one comes from the controller. Or not the controller, the display. So the display cable just hooks in like that. And then we've also got, do we have anything else up there? It's just the throttle and the display cable, and the display cable controls the throttle as well. So I think that's everything. I believe we have everything hooked up that we need. I'm pretty sure. I mean, we've got these extra pieces, but I don't see anywhere to plug those in. I know some of these are for the pedal detector that we're not using, so I'm going to take this battery, and I'm just going to put it in here, like this, the way that it's meant to be. I'm going to lock that. I'm going to turn the battery on, which is on the other side. The power button for the controller is over here. You can't see it. But hey, look at this. We got this thing lit up. And where's my throttle? Right here. So, nothing's happening. If I hold this down, if I hold down the power button, it turns off. If I hold down the power button again, it turns on. Surprise, surprise. It says I've got full battery. If I crank the throttle, nothing happens. It just goes to 03/info. Alright. This is the manual, and we got lots of information in here. Functions and display, operation. A definition. Motor hall signal abnormality. What? Okay, this is the problem. I don't know if you'll be able to see this on the video, but if you look past this spring, oh, you can see that. There's a severed wire in there. There is a severed wire inside of the main post thingy. It's really hard to get the camera to focus on that for some reason. I'm not really sure why. I'm not sure why the camera doesn't want to focus, but that's the problem. That's why it's not working, is because the cable running to the motor is severed. Right at the most difficult possible spot to have to repair it. There could be more severs further in this cable, for all I know. Really, I should probably replace... I should disassemble this hub and replace this whole cable. That's what I need to do. And the reason that this happened is probably, see, because like look at how kinked this is. That's not like down here, like fuck. The reason that this happened is because when it was not working the way that I expected it to earlier, and I was just sitting there twisting the post with the wheel removed from the bike, that was twisting the hell out of the cable. And so who knows how many places it's broken in. Okay, you might be wondering how we got here. I took it off the bike. I took the whole wheel off the bike, obviously, and then I took the disc brake off of the wheel. And then I undid all of the screws that were in these spots. And then I held the bike up by the rim, so it was like this, but in the air. And what I did was I took a rubber mallet and I banged on this piece over and over again. And then this thing just slowly worked itself off. And that worked, surprisingly. This is just a giant headache. This is a hole that I can solve my way out of. I could spend my way out of this hole. I could just throw this wheel in the garbage and order a new one, but I'm not fucking doing that. Partially because that's quite expensive. And mostly because that's not the cooking with Zaphod way. You work with the tools and the supplies that you've got at your disposal. So I'm just going to have to cut this and rebuild the whole cable. we've made significant progress, and you can really see that this bit down here is so twisted, whereas this stuff up here is nice and straight. So I'm still just pulling this off. I found I can sever it a little bit further down and work my way up, and that's a lot faster than trying to work my way down from the top. And I'm going to start unwinding these, because they don't need to be wound up like this. That's what caused this problem, is these getting wound a lot because I was spinning the core. Okie dokie, so we've got it down to the base here, and I actually can't get this to come out. If I pull on this side, it doesn't budge. If I push from this side, it doesn't budge. I can get it to wiggle a little bit, but I can't get it to go any further than that. And I only see evidence of one wire being broken. It's the black wire, it came off. The rest of these are in pretty good condition. There's a few nicks from when I was removing the sheath, funny enough. But this is the only wire that I actually see solid evidence of being broken. And so that makes me think, well, what if that's the only wire that's broken? Is there any way that I can make myself convinced of that? Well, if I take this and I spin this, what do we see? We see this is spinning. This is the source for these wires. And, uh-oh, I'm messing up these threads, but it's okay because I'm putting them on. I'm putting it back on with a big wrench, so it won't matter. But this is spinning at the same rate as this. And I think what was causing my problem before is that this from out here was basically being held still by wrapping around shit, while this was spinning, which was causing a tension point right here, which is where the black wire broke. So, now that I actually understand what's going on inside this thing and I can see it with my eyes, I think that this break is probably the only break in the whole cable. Which means that I didn't have to do this, I didn't have to do this, I didn't have to cause all these new nicks that I will have to patch up with electrical tape. All I had to really do was drop one little drop of solder down in the hole that I saw. I didn't have to remove that spring or the nice thick rubber sheath, but I did. And so I can't undo those things. It'll take me a while, but I'll be able to put this spring back on. And right now I'm just going to resolder this black wire, and then I'm going to solder up all of these to the parts that I snipped them off from. And then I'm going to connect it and see if I can power this rear hub. And if I can, I'm going to electric tape all this up. I'm going to reseal this. I'm going to put the spring back on, and then I'm going to go right around town on my electric bike, and it'll be great. And that's the whole point of this entire operation. Okay, we're fucking around here, and I can't solder. I don't have that ability. So I unplugged the soldering iron. It's over there on the ground. And I took off the other side of this. And what I'm doing here is I'm just electrical taping the hell out of these connections. And to make sure that I'm doing it correctly, I've got this bit here, right? And so the red is coming out of this corner. So if I lodge this into the, let me get this visible. I don't know how to use one of these things. This is a voltmeter, or sorry, it's a multi-tester, or it's a digital multi-tester. It's a multi-probadar digital. And I don't really know what all these different electric symbols mean because I am not an electrician. But I know that if you put these things in these holes and you turn it on, you've got it set to the bottom position, it'll say 1. And then if these two things touch each other, it'll say a number that's not 1. And that will mean that you have electricity going. And to prove that, if we put these two on some piece of metal like this, we get not 1. So to test to make sure that I've correctly adhered to the electrical components, I'm going to lodge this piece in a nice little hole that they just so happened to have put in here for me. Which you can't see, but I can, and that's the important part. Alright, just like that. And then I'm going to take the other one, and I'm going to touch it on the red lead from the back of this wheel, and boom, we done did it. And to make sure that my janky soldering for the black one is good, let's test that real quick. So I've got the wire lead hooked up to this, and then if I touch it there, we're good. So I could have taken the rear off of this thing, and I wouldn't have had to cut any cables. I would have just been able to see, oh, the black one is the only one that's broken. And now I know that for next time that I get into some trouble with electricity. But for now, what I'm doing is I've got these cables, I've got them all stripped, and I'm just going through and really carefully electric taping the two leads together, because that's the only tool that I've got in my toolbox for this kind of job. I have a soldering iron, I have solder, but I'm not skilled enough with them to be useful to myself. So this is how we gotta do it. They all tested good, so I'm going to plug this in and hook these in, and I'm just gonna give it a little tiny bit of throttle and see if I get the error code again. So there we go. Right. And what happens? Oh yeah. I hear something moving in there. So I'm thinking that means we fixed it, which is great news. And all I need to do is wrap electrical tape around this so that I've got basically a wire. And then all will be good, and I'll have my electric bike. Okay, after a lot more work, it came apart maybe 5 or 6 times, and maybe 3 of these came undone, along with 2 of the ones in here, the green and the blue in here, and like 3 of the ones in here came undone. And the black one in here came undone too many times, and there is a little bit of solder in there holding it together, which is good. It's the best solder I've done in many years. And finally, if we turn this on, switches on the back here somewhere. If I can find, there we go. So that's on, and then we come down here, and we turn on the controller. Controller's on, and we point this over here. Hell yes, it's working. Now all I gotta do is put the back plate back on. Put it all together, zip tie a bunch of cables down. I'll be good to go, man. Fucking electric bike. Fuck. Power's on, controller's on. It's all wired up. It's seated. It's not screwed on, but it's seated on there. And I gotta test this. So. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, baby. Brakes work pretty good. All right. Okay. What do you think about that, Max? Max doesn't know what to think about that. He's just looking at me. All right, man. Okay. Now, I need to bolt it down. Need to get the bolts on. I need to zip tie these cables down so that they won't get in the way. I need to peel off that ugly X-Go sticker. And I need to put some shoes on, grab a helmet and a jacket, and test this thing. Whoo, boy. Alright, let's just turn her on, I guess, down here. Alright, the bike is on. We're at like half battery. We got this nice clear area here. So, let's go. Now I'm pedaling and whoa. Alright. Oh, my rear brakes are squishy because I disassembled the thing. I have to burp my rear brakes. Oh, it's really downpouring out here. But I got acceleration. Oh man, this is fast. This is really fast. Oh fuck. Oh, holy. Okay, my hands are really cold from all of the speed. Oh shit, dude. Oh. Alright, let's turn around and go back home. That sounds pretty good to me. Oh my god, it is raining so much. Alright, this is my old seat. This is the one that my bike came with. And this is my new seat. It's much thicker. so you can see, and it's not quite as long, which isn't really a problem. But it's got its memory foam, which is kind of cool, and it's also waterproof. And it's got this channel right here. I don't know if that shows up on the video, but it's got this channel. And on the packaging, this thing, it calls that anatomic relief channel reduces perennial pressure, which means that it'll be soft on the gap between your asshole and your ball sack, which is, I think, probably good. I've done a couple more things with this bike. We're going to start at the front, at the handlebars here. So we've got the throttle installed, it works. We got our gear shifters, and it was a big pain to get these to adjust correctly. I don't know if I talked about that, but I had to. Normally, you've got the brake on the inside and then the gear shifters on the outside. So this is the brake attachment. This is the gear shifter attachment. But over here, it's backwards. I had to make it backwards in order to get clearance on there. Then we've got our ding ding bell, and we've got a water bottle holder now because I had to take out the water bottle holder from down here to put the battery in. So we've got a new one up here. Then moving over a little bit, I need to move this actually. I need to move this way. But this is one of those like universal mount things for every camera ever, or like some small speakers that they make that I have. But I'll move that over later. Here we've got the speedometer and odometer thing. So if we turn this on, we can see here we've got I'm currently going 0 miles an hour. My trip odometer is 93.2 miles. My trip time is 4 hours 50 minutes. I forget how to reset that. I know that there's a way to do it, but my total odometer is 104 miles, which is pretty good. My average speed is 19.2 miles per hour, and that includes when I'm stopped. So that's pretty cool. And then my trip time, my total time that I've been running this thing is 5 hours 26 minutes. And then my max speed that I've hit is 36.7 miles per hour. I don't know what that... No, voltage, that's the voltage of my battery, what's left in it. It's charging right now. This is a new charger. This is not the stock charger. This charger is way faster, I think. I hope. This came in the mail today. And then over here we've got the horn and the front light, which is bright enough. I wish that it was brighter, but, you know, I'll get another one at some point. I'm getting some more lights to attach to the forks, so those should be good enough. Then we've got this thing, which we'll get to later. We've got rear brake and shifters and just another handle. But then we've got, you know, battery and shit like that. And then back here on the tail, this is a new seat. The new seat is good. It's 10 out of 10. I feel like I'm on cloud 9 when I'm sitting on it. You know what I mean? It's much more comfortable, and I've got it lowered all the way down because I found that to be more comfortable as well for just like casual riding position. But back here we've got these two different lights, so this is just like a regular, it turns on and then it can blink, or it can blink like kind of differently, and then it can turn off. But this is the real star of the show. This just came in today. But we turn it on back here, and it just like nice slowly bleeds on, and we get so we got two yellow lights and a big red light. And if we look up here, this controller is actually for that. So I can hit this button and I get a left turn signal, which is pretty freaking cool. And I can hit the right one like that, and I get a right turn signal. And then I've got 3 different modes. So I've got blinking mode, and that's just like blink, blink, blink. And then I've got the second mode of that, which is like Kit from that one TV show with David Hasselhoff, like when your grandparents were kids. And then it goes back to normal mode. But we've got this other feature, this top button, and that engages the laser beams on each side. So if I'm biking down the road, like no matter where I am, I have my own bike lane, which is never mind the fact that my apartment's kind of messy right now. I'll get to it. And if I hit this again, then my laser beams start blinking, which, I don't know, man, that's pretty cool to me. I just turned it off by hitting it a third time. But the controller has like a little button cell battery in it, and this thing on the back gets charged by micro USB. And they included a micro USB cable because, you know, I don't have enough of those. Remove the existing rack from the bike, obviously. Now we've got 2 screws we need to remove, or 4 rather. One here, one here, and then one on the two on the other side that are in identical placements. After that, I'm just going to grab up a little hex bit, and just like that. Now we can pull off this whole contraption. I have to adhere these things to this piece here, and the plate was covering that. So what you want to do is you want to grab your hex screws that came with the thing, and you might notice that there's two sizes, so you want to grab the two short ones, not the two long ones. The two long ones are for the next step. I'm just going to get these finger tight at first, and then tighten them down with the screwdriver, nice and proper like. These things need to be all the way off to the side. Now, for your bike, it'll probably be different. So definitely size it, test it on your bike first to see how much clearance you need. For me, my wheels are so gigantic because it's a mountain bike that I really just need these as wide as they'll possibly go. I'm going to now attach the bottom pegs, and those are right here. They came with the thing. So I'm just gonna, we got one here, one hole at the bottom that's supposed to attach to the bike. Alright, I sized it on my bike, and I'm gonna go with the lowest setting on here. Okay, I have attached the plate to the bottom of the rack. I tested the battery slides in the correct way. This was a big pain in the butt. These are 10 mils, and this is like the widest Phillips that exists, but it's also, you have to angle your screwdriver to get to it. These ones over here were easier a little bit, but you still had to angle your screwdriver to get at them. Whereas these ones over here, you had to hella angle your screwdriver. So I hope that you have a 10 mil handy, because if you don't, then you're going to have a really difficult time putting this plate on this rack. I put it on, and I tightened all the bolts down, and she's on there pretty nice and sturdy. Much larger rack than my old one. For comparison, this is what my old rack was. No, you might notice the lack of battery, but on this one, we've got a nice spot here for a battery, so just for proof of concept, I'm going to slide this bad boy on here, like so. Oh, what? Okay, it's a little bit, I guess, tricky. Maybe it's real firm to get it in there, but if you push, ooh, is that in all the way? I think that's as far in as that's going to go. Now I just need to fuse some connectors onto these so that this piece can plug into here. Cool. I crimped the wires together using a crimp tool and some male-female disconnects. I'm going to electric tape all that together, and then I'm also going to set up the crimps on these so that I'm not using the electrical tape. And then I'm going to zip tie everything down, and eventually it'll be just like I'll have one pair not in use and one pair in use, and if I need to switch batteries, I'll just switch them. Maybe someday I'll be able to build like a flippy switch thingy if I get smart with how to do electricity, but I don't really think that's very likely. And now I'm going to turn it on, and I'm going to lift up the rear and twist the throttle. All right. According to the speedometer, that was 41 miles per hour. So that's pretty cool. Obviously, it's not going to go that fast when it's got, me loaded on it along with this other battery. So we're just going to crimp these two and zip tie everything down so that it looks not terrible. We just time warped into the future. I'm just now editing this video. It's late January right now. This is a little bit of an update on the bike. Everything on the handlebars is still going fine. I've added these lights here, so one here and one on the other side, and I've got them angled up because I don't care so much about seeing the ground as much as I care about the cagers seeing me. We've got the original battery and the secondary battery, and everything's working fine. No real issues. One thing that did happen is these two cables. See, these two came undone, and if they touch each other, then the engine braking will engage. And so I've just got them like pulled a bit apart until I can get around to fixing them up. These are crimped underneath here. This is crimped here, and it's all good and stuff. The cable coming out of here is still the original black tape solution, and it works fine enough. At some point, we'll come in here and redo all of this, but I don't really feel like doing that right now. But yeah, this thing is great. It's a blast to ride. The brakes are kind of giving out because I've been using just the regular brake pads, and they're not made to stop a bike this heavy from going this fast. They're made to stop a much lighter bike from going a lot slower. The turn signal's been working great. I still do the arm thing. I don't rely on entirely on the turn signal just because I feel like people see me better if I do my arms. I've got glasses to protect my eyes from the wind and the rain because that's really painful when it's hitting your face at 35 miles an hour. And I've also got a face mask that I wear as well just to protect the rest of my face. But this thing is great. One more upgrade we did put on is we put on some little smiley faces on the valve stems right there. But yeah, it's a great bike. I would definitely suggest that you build an e-bike, especially if you. I can get in theory with the two batteries combined. I haven't actually pushed it to the limit yet, but in theory, I can get 20 miles of range out of these two batteries combined. This one I know can get me to work and back with some charge left, and then this one is just still sitting there full, which is fantastic news. But yeah, it definitely, if you have to commute like 20 miles or less, I would say this e-bike is the way to go. You can go in the road, pretend to be a car. You can go on the bike path, pretend to be a bike. You can go on the sidewalk, pretend to be a bike. You can basically do whatever you want. Because in order for someone to stop you, they have to catch you, and you can just weave through traffic better than any car can. Yeah, it's pretty great. I'd say that I definitely love the heck out of this thing. Build an e-bike. Thanks for watching this episode of Fishtank Whypz. Don't forget to share on worldstarhiphop.com.